For those who want to stay with us in the stream now, there is the opportunity to state your statements, as I said, and ask questions and participate in our discussion, which is open now. Antonia Folguera, Katia von Roth, Margarete Jamann, and Christian Faubel are still here with us. Christoph Hubatschke, you have been chatting the whole night.
Some questions were raised, so I can maybe summarize them and throw them into the discussion. So one comment was that maybe is blockchain only really this revolutionary new thing, or is it just another hype or buzzword? So maybe Katia could say more on that. One question was also regarding what Antonia said, that she gets angry if she cannot customize her avatar the same way she looks in reality, asking what happens when we not really use the potential of transformation in the concept or the figure of the avatar. And in relationship to that, one question was also if the avatar really can become or even be this emancipative figure we talked about, or is it not mostly reproducing the power relations and discriminatory biases in a given society?
Okay, let's do one after the other. Start to forget the first one already. Maybe we take the middle one. Antonia, how was it? Can you maybe repeat, Christoph? Or was the precise question?
In the question of the transformation and the aspect that when you get angry that you don't can look as you look in reality.
This is a technical question, actually, but
no, it was about if you then not really use the transformative potential.
Okay, Antonia.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
I think it's kind of. I will answer. I guess that's really personal answer because creating your digital identity or your avatar gives you the freedom to be whatever you want. And there are people who in metaverses or in social networks or wherever, they decide to design crazy beings like you can be whatever you want. But I just like to be myself. And I like to set up avatars that look like myself, that they even have my own clothes. I may change little things, maybe my hair, maybe things like that. But I like to be represented on the internet, be it a metaverse or any regular social networks, as myself. And that's it.
Yeah. So, but Katia, you were telling us, I don't know if we saw it all here, but this avatar with the skateboard arms.
With the skateboard hands,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a try to do something completely different, because if you use the normal tools of creating avatars, then it is like painting by numbers. You are, as Jana Herwig said before, it is as much freedom as you can have, or as much freedom as the programmer and the platform is giving you. And within this, it is quite limited. So it would mean that it has more limitations than the biological or the biosphere or the biological entity would have. So
maybe this is because there was also the question if the blockchain is the big new thing or not, which I can for sure not answer because we don't know yet. I am experiencing really interesting things. I was interested in the concept of smart contracts for a long time, and now I really feel and meet people in different metaverses And I think the person, like the avatar with the skateboard hands, I think it's not that there's a person that was dreaming of having skateboard hands, and there we see what is something that I think is interesting in how blockchain is used. It's possible to build skateboard hands, and therefore they are there. And it is possible because the costumes you're actually wearing and the Tetra Pak with God juice your avatar is holding in their hand are NFTs, and the land that allows you to build in Metaverse, at least in the case of CryptoVoxels, is an NFT, and I could sell it to you at the kiosk by writing down my wallet number to you and taking $4,000 from you, and then send it to your wallet, and the next time you go online, then you can build in that area of the Metaverse because you own it, or you have skateboard hands because you have it, and that's, we had a costume, like a costume Wettbewerb, I don't know the word, like a show about who can design the best wearable, like a competition. And there were really crazy wearables for all the avatars, and there were people having there are people that have big wings, and they also only fly on parties, It's they choose the behavior depending on their costume. But who won was like a small, really crappy paper box on a skateboard, because somebody managed to not even have like the avatar body at all and just like become an object on a skateboard, and everybody was really hyped about this wearable winning.
Okay, well, this brings us to the first question about the blockchain. When you are now, because you mentioned it already, if blockchain is so revolutionary as it is presented, I think that was the base question, Christoph? Something like that, yeah?
Or is it just like
I thank you for your fantastic explanation how blockchain works, because now even I understand it. So it is, well, I think it is lots of potential in it, but maybe, Christian, you are not the big blockchain fan, or Katia, you're the specialist on that.
Maybe I can say something and then Christian can go into fight with me, as we also can see each other. Like, did you see Christian looking and saying hi to me? We can see each other. We're in the same space. For me, something like I don't know what will happen in the future. Maybe I have like some ideas of it, and so we all have, and some people have like interesting and critical ideas about blockchain, and there's a lot of there's a lot of critical topics in there, like environment and capitalism and all this stuff we know about, and you should read and study about it. All of you should read and study about it to understand what's happening, because for sure it's like a shift of power dynamics. And a really concrete thing that I like is all the people that are into code and developing now get a perspective that there are like millions and millions and millions traded in the art market, which was somehow clear before, but it was not in the news. It was not in the news that somebody is paying like $1.5 million for a single pixel, but these things happened. And for the whole art sphere, for sure, it's still gatekept. You still need marketing. Maybe you need even more marketing to be in there, and you still have to think. And if you want to do like the environmental friendly blockchain, then you have less audience. And it's still a cool audience, but for sure it's reproducing a lot of stuff because we are not coming from nowhere. But I think the direction is an interesting one. And I'm really rich in JPEGs. Like I have more money and worth that I ever had in these categories right now in JPEGs, and some of them I made my own.
I have
so this
tons
is something,
of JPEGs on my computer, so I will upload them and become rich.
No, it's like, you have to, the context is interesting. It's like, who are you? What are the JPEGs? What are they for you? And what's your story about it and how you tell it to us? Because this is what art, at least to me, is like, or parts of art is. But Also, I mean, I'm still here to perform, because when we were watching before, I thought like I'm maybe not even able to watch from the outside into this topic, because I'm just really feeling it, you know?
Yeah.
This is why you can't see my face.
Margarete, you have a laid-back view on this topic. Do you think that the blockchain is a chance to change political systems and our social interaction?
I'm not laid back here. I would prefer to jump on the question of the metaverse and data avatars again, because this is your topic also, of course, related to the discourse. But for me, it is not a political tool to escape anywhere again. Not at all. To me, it is a tool also to affirm art markets and art market discourses in general, and a tool to consume energy. Because blockchain and Bitcoin are related, and one Bitcoin transmission consumes, according to the NZZ, I don't know if we can trust that sources, the amount of energy and power that a Swiss guy uses in a month. Zürcher in einem Monat verbraucht, schreibt die NZZ. I don't know if the data is correct, but of course a lot of energy flows are activated, which are consuming hardware, consuming energy, consuming power. And therefore, I think I don't want to build only on that systems. Yeah. Also, the digital representations are possible, also digital systems. So, as you started with this discourse, also you said there was also in the discourse mentioned that you cannot escape the digital providers, sort of. Yeah, you can create a sort of social network also with the means that each user has. She has the power also to represent her own data in a form that she likes. And we don't have to use the social networking system, and not necessarily to accept the contract system, of a law contract where I agree, which it was in the discourse before mentioned. And I think there are different forms also, if we consider text or data or these forms of representation as avatars. Yeah, it's just a different form. I understand that Antonio wants to use her classes also in a virtual representation, because it can be fun, because you're never really like you are yourself. This little difference, that is, I think, the teasing thing, why you want to look like yourself or your physical appearance. I can understand this as well.
Well, just a little insert here, because here we see your brain avatar, Margarete. This is
yeah,
a suggestion, no? That is really not looking like anything we know.
Yeah, it is like a mind worm that is crawling out of somewhere, but it is a live record from data, like this tracking data that was mentioned before, but it is also encrypted, so to say, in a static, or I don't know, in a tube ship or a mind worm, or like an Ohrwurm is vielleicht ein Hirnwurm. I just liked it, and we used it also like a spaceship.
Is nice.
Yeah. It is just a different form in order to show that there are options. And this is very close, really, to my mindset at that moment in terms of what we can record now. Yeah, of course, it doesn't show the whole mind. But
okay, continue now with Christian Faubel, because you brought up one physical aspect, which I found very interesting, especially in the context of this discourse we have here.
I'm an engineer, actually, so I relate very much to practical stuff. But nonetheless, there is this idea, of course, with this having the kind of like your own data, that you could have something like a digital twin or something that could exist on its own, based on kind of like all your data, all that, to the extent that people think like at one point you could upload your brain to an avatar, and then it would kind of like coexist with you. And this idea of is kind of like there's an inherent contradiction, and that inherent contradiction comes from the fact that you are never the same. And I think that sort of links to that question of authenticity. So because you are actually, I would say, you are constantly remodeling yourself, because whatever you do modifies your experience, and what you experience modifies your inner structures. So, for example, you could when you start doing a lot of sport training every day, you will build up new muscles, but you will also have your brain structure changing, and that will eventually provide you with a completely different experience of the world. And that is something, if you consider that, it makes it impossible to think of something like a digital twin coexisting with you, because you would have to constantly kind of like override the experience of that digital twin if that one could have an experience on its own.
Okay, so that means this brings me to these ideas or this project. Hossein Ranama, he with his company Human Dynamics, he's offering to build an avatar of yourself or of other people. The project is called Augmented Eternity, so everybody can Google that. You will find lots of articles, and it's all CC. You can copy and paste and use it, because he's very sure about what he's doing, so he doesn't need to have any copyrights on it. So he's actually, just to briefly explain for everybody, he is actually offering that he's building an avatar out of the big data. So he's using the big data all the companies are using to make money with it and sell information. And he says he's a democrat. He gives it back to the people. You can have your own avatar living forever, or as long as the electricity is working. But he's also offering that you can order an avatar from your brother, your sister, your ancestors, or even other people, or your business partners, or your... So you can like train, and for example, if you want to enter a job or something, you can let them make an avatar of your future boss, and then you can talk to this person before you see him in real. And of course, all these avatars have the perspective to live as long as there is energy somehow. But you actually say this is bullshit, because this cannot work, because this avatar can be, in the best case, an entity, but it will not be a twin of you. It will be somebody else in the end.
The question would, of course, be whether that, I mean, it's kind of like a statistical snapshot of yourself. Or you can think of it like you take a photograph. Now, is that photograph yourself in that moment? Yes, but then you continue and you deviate from that picture. So 2 days later, that old data set of yourself is already, you have deviated from it. Yeah. And now the other question is whether that other data set has its own dynamics or not. If it doesn't, if it's just static, I mean, that's plainly boring, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean, what I would say. So
only would work if we are dead, no?
Well, yeah, then it's kind of like you're frozen in a way. Yes, it would work if we are dead.
I am not sure if it makes a lot of sense. Like, what is the purpose of your avatar living in a metaverse, like doing something while you are living in the real world? Like you are dead, and this digital being lives there. I'm not sure. What I like about the idea of the avatar, it's not possible today, but maybe it will be possible one day when technology allows, is to be able to embody the avatar. Like that I don't have to control it anymore with a joystick or with a keyboard, or even when...
Like in the movie.
VR, yeah. Or VR and AR technology, I think that there will come a point when they will be so small that they will be invisible. And so we will be able to inhabit these digital worlds. That's what I was saying in the beginning. We have the capacity to be in the real world as we know it, like this, where I am right now, and I'm touching things. And then at some point I can, I don't know, maybe snapping my fingers, I have no idea. I can be in different metaverse or changing metaverses. I would like to imagine like different worlds that are interoperable, like that I can have my identity, my avatar with its different configurations, and I can enter these different worlds and I can jump out of these different worlds. And when I am there, I can live, I can act, I can be in my own body, which I think this is only possible to experience in a kind of clunky way in virtual reality nowadays. But I think that technology is going there, like when we will have the possibility to interact with these digital worlds, these digital layers, with basically our gestures, our voice, our hands. Like there is a lot of research in this area called spatial computing. Mm-hmm. And I am fascinated by these possibilities that I'm not sure if they will come fast enough for me to see them, but I'm excited about it.
Okay. Christoph, is there the request?
Well, there were like two questions left. One was like the more broader general question on the potential of the avatar, like as Margarete said, like if the avatar even can be a figure like the cyborg or so, or is it not more reproducing power relations? And the other one was a discussion, not so much a question, on the statement at the end of the value. What is more valuable, the data or the person behind it? Because Constanze very much is voting for the person, and the data is only valuable in relation to person, like the one person, but also all the other persons.
Yeah, but it says your data is more valuable than the services you give it to, and that is actually the political aspect of it, that we actually we are the resource for big companies, and most of us even pay for giving the data or giving the resource to the companies. So you pay, like, I don't know, 25 euros a month for providing the data to Google and Microsoft and Apple and all these companies. So this is actually a very strange upside down political thing. That's like, yeah, we can have this in the third world, no? Where the so-called, no? Where the resources like iridium and all these materials are, they pay for getting the highway. The Chinese build a highway and they pay for it, and so they can take the resources there for more or less nothing. That is actually not a technical problem. It is a problem of, as I always say, it's a problem of the economical system, and it is a problem of capitalism. It's the technical possibilities are great, but it's if you set it up and infiltrate it with this kind of system, then it is to our negative development. Ja, please.
Einem Metaversum gesprochen oder gibt es mehrere? Die erste Frage, weil hier wird von einem Metaversum aufgesprochen, Sie spricht von mehreren. Ja. Und die zweite Frage ist, dreht sich nicht eigentlich darum, dass so ähnlich wie Facebook oder Google alle versuchen, das eine Metaversum zu erzeugen, wo dann alle hingehen? Ja, ja. Und was bleibt dann übrig von dieser Freiheit und Gestaltungsmöglichkeit? Yeah.
So, yeah, this is to all of you actually. But you Antonia, were talking of many metaverses, and I was mentioning, like in the 90s, there was this idea of one metaverse, and what is this actually? Still, we don't really know.
So we don't know. I guess that I'm not sure. I have no idea what will be in the future, but right now there are many metaverses, and basically they are worlds that live in a server, in a computer server. So there are many, and they're property of different companies, different collectives, etc., etc. And so I think that at the end of the day is to visit or live in the metaverse that you feel most comfortable with, where you find your community, like the people who you like to spend time with, as you do in the physical world. So there are quite a few, actually. Many of them are highly centralized, and there are some of them that run on the blockchain, and they are decentralized. And I would say that the decentralized option is the one that looks more ideal to me. Also because in a way, the early internet didn't address two questions. And one was identity, and the other one was exchange of value. And blockchains can have the potential to solve those things, like to own your identity, your avatar, your name, your surname, and also to exchange value digitally with other avatars, other people, other things. So I think that this kind of decentralized metaverses are like the most interesting ones.
Okay.
Also because they offer like a lot of freedom to design.
Okay. But in the end, even if it's a server, but it has to be online, so somehow it is connected to the internet. So the tendency is, I think, the tendency is, as you said, that in the end there will be just one, because it's all connected, and this is the vision of the 80s and the 90s, that there will be one metaverse which is actually doing everything. That means you can even do all your bank transfers and whatever in this parallel metaverse. You don't even need to step out at all. And this is like also like in Neuromancer. You know,
well, that sounds like the current internet, actually.
Yeah, this is the internet. Yeah, but it is like if the whole internet is like fed by this kind of virtual, three-dimensional, whatever construction, it's maybe just a question of the capacity of the computers. But in the end, that I think is very important, that the people think the internet, but in the end, there have to be servers, there have to be computers standing somewhere. And as we know, I think China owns the biggest server farms for blockchain, which is interesting because if China,
I think it's not China. It's not China owning them. It's many people using them in China and then China forbidding it. This is what's happening. So okay. I mean, what I think is interesting. We were hearing the idea of my avatar doing stuff without me somewhere else where I am, which is something that I can totally not identify with, because I mostly like it's a lot of fun that like then all the fun would be with my avatar and not with me, you know. I mean I don't have any desire to have like some representation or twin or anything. It's just that I don't know, what I experienced is a cultural practice that I can do in many environments. I can decide to turn around my body and open up to a newly joining person with my avatar, the same like I do in physical world or off-world metaverse, how I call it. For sure, there's like totally different things happening, but I have a lot of situations and environments and groupings with people that I don't have any connection with in so-called real world or off-world metaverse, and I have really strong connections, and they are so strong that people can even like end my sentences sometimes. With some people, I don't even know if it's one or more persons that I'm interacting with, you know. Yeah. But I really feel a connection. So I would be interested in this idea of having a representation to. Is it about free time then, to be like? To meet several people at the same time? Is this it?
No, well, I mean, I'm just thinking about the self-driving car, which is like in the weekend, the car is going somewhere to the south, to the sun, while I have no time and I have to work at home, so the car goes there by its own. So I'm represented in Grado or somewhere. Okay. Well,
there are streets and cars in many metaverses, by the way. This is, I think, is interesting. Why do they reproduce like mostly streets?
Yeah.
While designing metaverses.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there is something.
Yes.
This is something which I'm not deeply into the metaverse. When I go in or when I look at pictures of these worlds, I'm surprised that they are not so weird as all this could be. I mean, this is, and I think, for example, what is the difference between kind of like a purely text-based interface, so where I can exchange ideas, and I absolutely can imagine these experiences Katia is describing, that you can get very connected to someone, and it's an old tradition. You even just by writing letters back and forth, you can have this deep connection, and I think that's something for sure can happen in such a world. But what I don't get is why it's for example, it's three-dimensional Cartesian. You can build a polar world, where everything is defined by radius and angle, just as an example. Or you could think of the ideal would be to create a world that you haven't even ever experienced or thought of, and I don't see this happening. I see pictures hanging on the wall. I mean, what for?
Not only. I know we didn't mention the Diamond Age concept or environments that I was also discussing with Thomas in the preparation phase. And so, this discourse also is very present with the moment where the possibility of a three-dimensional representation or Cartesian representation is possible. But parallel, there are other concepts. I fully agree, Christian, also here. No? Also, where the avatar and metaverse discourse could be anchored is this Diamond Age environment that I also was discussing with colleagues in an application where you only have the reflection at corner points of others as a network, which expresses and shows the structure of the network. And this would connect again to a philosophical network of who I am Buddhism, where the Diamond Age discourse comes from. And also Snow Crash authors were referring to it, by the way. Yes. So Neil Stevenson was referring to that in one of his books also. It knows that this was deeply rooted in this optional living discourse, a way of better living discourse. And interestingly, this already shows us models that are different than the 3D representation of cars, of course.
I think what I would to add is I am constantly listening or reading other people in these metaverses talking about being excited once real artists and real architects come in here and do crazy stuff. It was really a thing when the first person made a pizza that somebody ate from and designed this into metaverse to tell a story about it, and this for sure,
Yes. So you definitely missed then, of course, all the metaverse discourses where the artists, I would say, a decade ago or 15 years ago, when the 3D representation of avatars and the 3D net started with the web in 93, 94. And I really think that not only with Habitat, the game environment where the graphical avatar appeared, it started, it was really a phase where these online metaverses and open spaces also evolved. And that there was, from a relatively big group of artists, from Chris Macaire to, and he was 80 or 90 then, and we could develop a close relation by chatting with a cat and he was always a cat, for example, because that linked to his art, to young artists, not like Branko and Eva Matis were in this group also of this online environment, and they are selling big. If selling is the indices, but for me it is not, of course. So I don't like that work, but there was a lot of experiment work always in the early phases. Then it went down again. I don't know what will happen now. No? I see that the question is there, and I'm happy that the question is there again. So let's go there.
Yeah. Well, I have the feeling that most of the things which are happening now are actually the realization of ideas which are 70, 80, 90 years old. So lots of stuff is dystopian or utopian ideas of the 60s and 70s, where the big authors like Philip K. Dick and so on were designing these kind of ideas, and now this is on the way to be realized, or is realized already. And I also think, I agree with you, Margarete, that it is interesting to think about the things to come, not the things which are here now, but in a similar weird way, or in a similar visionary way, like 70, 80 years ago, because now we have lots of possibilities technological wise, but it looks like the visions and the ideas are a little bit dry, let's say like this. So I thank you very much for joining us here, and it is a very difficult discussion actually, and it can go on. We had lots of time we spent in the preparations, and I think there's lots of material, lots of stuff we also recorded, so I hope we can also present this to a broader audience, or at least to interested people. Thank you very much for being with us in this stream. Thank you for being here in the audience. Dankeschön fürs Kommen und für die Teilnahme und auch die Frage. Thank you, Christoph Obatschke. Thank you to the people participating in the chat. Thank you, Katia, for being with us. Thank you, Margarete Jamann and Christian Faubel. It was a pleasure. And of course, thank you, Antonia. I wish you good luck, toi toi toi, for your festival. I know it will start on the 29th of October, the Sonar Tea Festival. This is also online available and accessible, so everybody who is interested should log in there. I think it is very interesting, and it will be, I hope you will have lots of fun, even if it's lots of work. So, thank you very much, and bye-bye. Ciao, bye-bye.
Oh, bye. Thank
And
you.
now we are going to listen to Martin Sievert's guitar for a moment.